Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Since 1911, the Pierre Parts Store has been your one-stop shop. Family owned and operated for 4 generations, the Pierre Parts Store has served the community by providing groceries, hardware, home products, and much more, including a full-service lumber yard. Now, we've added the Thibodaux store to the family with the same values and service we've delivered for over 100 years. The Pierre Parts Store and the Thibodaux store, our family serving your family.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And you know, very often when we get some of these cases where we hear about them going to court, we hear about that process, it's always good to get the information directly from the district attorney's office, especially as it relates to this particular case through Lafourche District Attorney's Office. As we welcome in 2 of those individuals with the district attorney's office, first Sean George, Assistant District Attorney's Office, and the head of the Violent Crimes Division. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us, Mr. Keith. It's always a pleasure.
I appreciate that. Alyssa LaBeouf, also Assistant District Attorney. Thank you for joining us today, Alyssa. We appreciate it.
Good morning, Keith. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And so this is a rather high-profile case. A lot of people have been following it. Sean, walk us through this process and kind of how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, back in January of 23, there was an armed robbery at one of the more popular convenience stores here in Thibodaux. The incident happened around 6:30 in the afternoon, a time where there was a lot of people coming and going. The convenience store is actually attached to a McDonald's that has a kids' play place in it. So once we saw the release from the sheriff's office, we picked it up immediately. High profile, a lot of people around, very busy convenience store. And the facts surrounding the case, it was an armed robbery with a firearm, which enhances it. Just pretty big case from the beginning. And once we get the case, we immediately having that trial mindset on the bigger cases, murders, rape, robberies. And so we had been working it from the beginning and followed through all the way up to the guilty plea at trial.
Yeah. And so kind of very interesting. It's just one of those things, as you mentioned, it's not only somebody who's armed robbery, armed robbery late at night, there's only adults, and that's a little different scenario than when we have a convenience store that's got a McDonald's, it's got a play area. We know that those places are going to have kind of kids of all ages, if you will, at any time, especially at the time of day that this one was.
Yes, absolutely. Even on the surveillance videos, which we got from the convenience store, you could see patrons coming and going inside, kids, eating their chicken nuggets, and just a few feet over, this gentleman's brandishing a firearm and taking $400 from the cashier. It was a different crime. It was one that made you pause.
Well, and I can tell you one of the things that we've come to expect here with the Lafourche District Attorney's Office is that you guys will work tirelessly hour after hour to find a way to make sure that these things come to a conclusion and done as quickly as possible. And so one of those things I can tell you we appreciate, and we talk to Christine about it all the time. She makes a difference, and your team makes a difference early on and trying to really get these things and kind of put them to rest. We were glad that this came to its conclusion as quickly as it did.
So you took the words out of my mouth when you mentioned Christine. District Attorney Russell is the best leader that they have. And since she's been DA, she's made that a priority. I'm the head of violent crime. So whenever a violent crime comes in, she gets an alert from our sheriff's office or our local police departments. And immediately she sends it out to me and one of the investigators here. And we immediately begin tracking it so we could work directly alongside law enforcement. This actually happened in this case to where we were able to track it literally from January 21st up until the trial. The collaboration between the district attorney herself, Christine, and the sheriff's department was phenomenal throughout this case. And that's her stance with every crime that comes in.
Well, and so it's just one of those things where I can tell you, for me, I've got family members who are attorneys, one who heads a murder division in a very busy city. And so none of these things happen that quickly. Like, to me, these things kind of drag out. This one didn't. And again, it just echoes the focus and dedication. Go ahead.
Well, we appreciate that. And every case is different. I handle all the homicides in Lafourche Parish as well. And some of them go, I've taken murders to trial in less than a year. And I have some that have lagged on for various reasons. The main reason, and Christine and my biggest focus, we're always victim oriented. So we can't take a case to trial unless the victim is completely ready and they're in a state where they could be comfortable going to trial.
Right.
Here we had a victim who was ready to get this over with. He was at a stage in his life to where this was affecting him and wanted it over. He's one of the I'll be honest, he's one of the best victims I've ever met. And his ability to see this process through and cooperate with us every step of the way led us to where we were today. Along those lines, he didn't really want to get up there and testify. He didn't want to have to relive the incident again. He was willing to do so to help the other public remain safe. But at the end, this plea of a very significant amount of years and him not having to testify was the best result for this case. So every case is different. But yeah, this one was resolved rather quickly, which we appreciated and the victim more so appreciated.
Right. And I guess in closing, the last thing, the gentleman who perpetrated the crime apologized. That was rather unique.
Absolutely. So he did. He was represented and his counsel had contacted me and told me that he was very remorseful, which he was. And what dawned on me was after he was sentenced, after he was already convicted, after he was given that 40-year term from Judge LaRose, like a man, he stood up in court and addressed the victim directly, apologized to him, told him he was experiencing some very big difficulties in his life at the time, and the victim accepted it. It was a wonderful moment. But on the other hand, the crime he committed was pretty heinous.
Right.
And he's just paying for his crime.
He is. Thank you both so very much. We very much appreciate it. Tell Christine we say thank you as well.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Mr. Keith. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mr. Keith. Have a good day.
Thank you. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment and this Bayou Time. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming right here on HTV.